Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of NextGenTechTalk. Today, I'm really excited to have a very interesting guest with me today. Her name is Pichapen. She's from Thailand. Did I get that right?
Pichapen.
Pichapen, yes. That's how it's pronounced. So, Picha, if I can take the luxury of asking you to introduce yourself and tell the
Mhm.
audience what you're all about, so that'll be great.
My name is Pichapen Pratipawanit. You can call me Picha for short. That's how I'm known in Web3. I'm a seasoned professional with expertise in communications, marketing, and Web3. I have my educational background in communication and my PhD in public policy. My experience in marketing spans for about 12 to 13 years. My newfound passion has been very recent with the um, evolution of the technologies, specifically Web3. So my current role, my current role now is CMO of Cryptopia, which is a unique blockchain RPG tycoon game built on top of a secure crypto wallet for frictionless gaming experience. I'm also vice president of TCIOA. TCIOA is Thailand Chief Information Officer Association for DIFTA chapter, where the mission is to focus on bridging and working alongside traditional Thai enterprises in the world of digital transformations and advancement with a clearer understanding of digital assets and digital investment funds for growth. It's really lovely to be here today and discuss the topics and the technology role of women in tech, and what gaming, I mean, in my perspective, will help with the mass adoption in the space.
Great. Thank you so much for that. So let's get to the questions then. So the first one, obviously, is how are Web3 games shifting the future of gaming? Like, what's happening there? Because Web2 space and then Web3 coming into that. So how is the whole thing shaping up?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's many different takes. I also still enjoy traditional gaming very, very much. To me, when we talk about traditional gaming, it brings back like really, really good memories of my childhood when I was playing games with my siblings growing up. But to talk about the ways or distinct features that set them apart between traditional video games and Web3 games, there's several aspects, and I think like when we address these key differences, we can also I guess discuss further of why people prefer certain things over the other. But all in all, I think they're basically offering different, I mean, more options for people in the space or in the this area of gaming. So some key aspects would be the ownership and digital assets. Web3 games leverage blockchain technology, which enable true ownership and control of in-game assets, whereas traditional games, you will not own those assets. And play-to-earn economy. So Web3 games also introduces play-to-earn model where players can earn real-world value through gameplay, right? And traditional games, player invest time and effort without any tangible rewards, for example. There's also interoperability and cross-game compatibility, because Web3 games are built on open standards and protocol. So this enable interoperability. Oh, sorry, I can't get this. The third part, interoperability and cross-game compatibility. So Web3 games are built on open standards and protocols. So this allows, interoperability between different games. The other one would be decentralization and trustless systems, because Web3 games leverage on decentralized technologies such as blockchain and smart contracts. And this removes the need for centralized authorities or intermediaries. There's also aspect of community governance and participations. Web3 games often involve community in the decision-making process, like, how do you like the game to be developed, and, whether they like this aspect or this different features. And this also shaped the game development. And then the last part would be funding and crowdsourcing. So Web3 games often leverage on blockchain-based crowdfunding model. Some of the games that we've seen in the space right now is using ICOs or initial games offering like IGOs to allow game developers to secure funding directly from the community instead of getting loans and managing everything themselves like traditional games. I think that would be the key things that set them apart.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And thank you for that wonderful insight. So now coming into the second part of this, what are some of the challenges and opportunities that you have basically found as a woman in tech industry? Because after all, it is very difficult to have that sort of space being carved for yourself. So what is that particular thing like? And in the
Mhm.
context of metaverse and Web3 games, what are some of the challenges you faced?
Well, I think the challenges, not so much. I feel like the space has been very welcoming for different crowds, different groups of people. I feel like it actually allows more diversity in the space. I think like when we talk about tech industry previously, because I've worked in startups like in Web2 and before, and I've noticed how there are certain treatments, I would say, and also it has become somewhat like intimidating for some women to get involved, whether it's the jargons, whether it's because it's so new for women to be in tech. But when it comes to Web3, I feel like the people, the community, the builders in the space are all focusing on the ideas and the contribution. So that's actually allow more opinions, allow more involvement, whether you are male or females. And in terms of Web3 games, I have different roles in Web3 games. I'm as a CMO of Cryptopia game, but also as a player as well, because I try to create content to help onboarding more people in Web3 as well. And I feel like there has not been that much challenges. But I mean, like moving forward as a content creator, maybe I've heard some discussions about like certain treatments for like female creators or female gamers, but I haven't experienced that myself. I could see that being something that create concerns, but so far there's more opportunities than challenges. I
Great.
hope
And
that.
speak, yeah, yeah, that's pretty much answers the question very nically. So taking a bit of a deep dive into this particular aspect, in your opinion, what steps can individuals, communities, and the industry as a whole um, take to create opportunities for women? And are there any organizations that are actively working to increase representation and inclusion?
Well, I can talk to about a few projects. When I first started in Web3, I came across my BFF. Also founded by a lot of high profile tech entrepreneurs where it's woman led. Mila Kunis is also one of the founders, and I think my BFF is a really good example of trying how a group of women can create like such a strong initiatives to onboard more females in the space by making the topics easy to digest, accessible, and there are just so many different things that they are doing right now. Like that's also like pairing careers, creating more awareness and educational, sorry, like creating educational content for people to understand what, what blockchain is about, what the technology will help enable you in that regard. Working in Web3 games, I'm also gaming industry. I'm also encounter really some interesting projects that are also women led, whether it was found by women or was have significant involvement of women. One I can mention is Block Stars, also a game. Anna Maria is she's leading marketing and she's done amazing job. Like, I honestly say that I've learned new things for her every time we have a conversation. Also a pro collaborations. Like, she's all like, she really teaches me just by having conversations with her. I get like new insight, I get new inspirations, and I really aspire to be like her. There's Jenny from the blog, also from Avocado DAO. She's also a very strong, fierce personality in Web3. She creates content and she's leading marketing for Avocado DAO. So also a very interesting individual. And I've obviously learned so much from her about DAO management, about guild management. And Irene, one of the co-founders of YGG Southeast Asia, also very admirable female lead of the guild organization. So they're just those are example of great I guess, like, I would say organizations and workplace that are led by women, and they have contributed so much to the space, and they are very inspiring individuals. One of the few things that I'm doing to promote like more women empowerment in the space, one is xperspective.io. Xperspective is a media platform that also aims to make the tech jargons, the news, and everything related to Web3 easy to digest. A lot of the time when we see news publishing that, involve like the new layer 2 deployment or something like that. I can also help you with the editing. If you send me the raw file, I'll just help you with the minutes to cut out.
Yeah.
All right. So so xperspectives.io, it was it's my idea to actually make Web3 related content more accessible, because to onboard more people, to make it to mass adoption level, you really need the content to be somewhat relatable, right? And if we're all using jargons all the time, like for me as well, like even though I've been in Web3 or in crypto space from like 2017, it's still very hard for me to just think it on top of my head. Sometimes I still need to make like references myself or look up like a certain thing, certain terms, and background research a few things, right? And I think that can be something that is intimidating for people who are vaguely aware of the space, right, and want to be involved, but then don't want to feel embarrassed if they try to do something themselves. So I want it to be a platform where people can consume content in the like a few minutes read, and up to date, easy to understand. Later on, this platform will be something like what I would consider it right to earn as well, for mass adoption. Will have like a contributor role where people can earn rewards by writing. And obviously there will be like verification system or fact checking process for that as well. X perspective also is important to note how it's named. So X is from the chromosome, where the shared chromosome, right? So like we have the X chromosome, the female and male chromosome. And for that, it's basically X perspective is a balanced views of the news, because the news shared right now is more male dominated, and a lot of the male roles in creating content in the space. So we want to have that balanced view to promote more diversity as well. So not just to make the content easy to understand, but also more balanced, and also promoting opportunities for people so that they don't feel intimidated when they decide to join the space. So that's the main idea for X perspectives. The other one is Tech Babes Asia. No, sorry, Tech Babes Asia. So Tech Babes Asia is basically the idea where, you know, when you hear interviews from people in the tech industry, and it's like also very hard to understand. Like I hear like um so many interesting personalities in the space giving interviews, and I'm like, that's really amazing, but you know, wouldn't it be better to make this kind of content something more relatable? So Tech Babes Asia not Asia would be something that help people understand the human side of the people in tech industry. So it's like a carpool content. You've seen like carpool, um, you know, interviews where people like sing together and everything like that. Our interview would then be focusing on the tech um, personalities and discussing about like their everyday life at work and what they do. You know, like it's not always like suits and black t-shirts, but there's something else, right, that they do to keep their passion alive, or you know, contribute to their role as a developer or as a analyst or marketer in the space. And that will also in a way help more onboarding people into, I mean, tech industry, like to work in the tech industry, because well, I see the human side. Like I don't need that much tech background. Like I don't need to study IT to join Web3 or something like that. So that's also to provide like a more like a career perspective and some sort of inspiration for the viewers. um so those are the two media things, but and I'm also, yeah, the totally uninformed gamer is my recently found project, which is a Twitch channel where I review games from a totally uninformed perspective. How do I start this? How do I pick items? What are the keys and all those kind of things? Because I feel like, you know, gaming can be, especially with three games, it could be intimidating too. And I want people to feel that, well, it's not that hard. If she can do it, I can do it too. So yeah, again, it's an initiatives to help onboarding more people in the Web3 space by making the content easy to understand, easy to start.
Great. And good thing you brought up your Twitch channel, because that's where I wanted to go next. So, what was your motivation for starting the channel, essentially?
Starting totally uninformed gamer channel, right? Well, two things. When I look at the content online, and a lot of the time, well, I mean, I use it as a reference to start playing, and a lot of the time I feel like some part of it is skipped. Like I feel like, you know, obviously the creators or the gamer, they played it for years or months before me, and they missed out on the part where, you know, how do I start? You know, it seems so easy for you, but it's not that easy for me. And have had a difficulty looking at those kind of content. One more thing is, by working for Cryptopia, I talk to a lot of games. Some of the games are also our game partners, and I want to help them make, you know, like by creating more awareness or making more noise in the space. And that is also by, like, you know, reviewing their game through my channel.
Right. And how do you decide which game to review? Like, what's the process? Like, when do you decide it, and how do you go about it? Okay, so this is the game that I want to do, or this is the game I want to talk about. How's that? How does that done?
Mhm. Well, there, I mean, it's like love at first sight. like well, I've
Right.
seen, I've seen the look and feel, the UX UI, and I'm like, I kind of like this game. That's one thing. I think like for a lot of gamers it's like that as well. Like, oh, that's interesting, I want to try it out, right? And then the other part would be like, I actually prefer playing like smaller game because I feel like I could provide more feedback, like more valuable feedback. I feel like, I don't have to fight for the traffic because it can get laggy when there's a lot of people playing at the same time. So I would try to go for like smaller game first because just for the seamlessness of trying and also for the valuable of the review. Like to make the review more valuable for the developers or for the game producer. Um, and I feel like, that's that's something that they might need, right? Like if I review a game that has like millions of players already, it's, just one of the contents out there. And I feel like, um yeah, I mean, chances that they're not even gonna see it, and I would still play those games, but then I might not be like in a rush to play. I might wait until like the hype dies down a little bit, or it just really depends how I feel about that in that situation. But I would be more enthusiastic about games that recently launched beta, and when I feel that my input would be more considered for.
Right. And another question I think would be pertinent to this is it just Web3? Do you focus on in your Twitch channel, or are there any Web2 games that you do reviews of as well?
I'm trying to do a mix. I feel like to get more awareness for the channel, I would need to do more Web 2 because viewers still prefer Web 2 games. Web 3 is still somewhat intimidating, especially, if there's a lot of, um, in transactions popping up for like browser game, connecting wallets and purchasing. It's like too much requirement, and there's like it's not that seamless for Web3 games, but there's I've never say never. That's why I'm trying to balance it. But at this stage, I would say traditional would be 70% and 30 Web3.
Right. And that sounds interesting. Do check her Twitch channel out, guys. It's pretty cool. So, coming to your project, basically, which you're associated with, and you're a CMO of Cryptopia, I want to talk a little bit about that. Can you just give a basic overview of what Cryptopia is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Cryptopia is a next gen crypto game for both crypto savvies and gamers alike. It's 100% based on blockchain, serverless. It's not a browser game, so there's no friction in that regards, like what I've just mentioned about like having transactions popping up and all this kind of thing. So there's that, and it's an open world game. So there are just so many things that you can do inside Cryptopia. I think like I'm just so passionate about the game that if I ever talk so much into details, like this is where it's gonna be like 45 minutes of the whole in-depth discussions about the game. Um, so the game is built on a multi-sig wallet for the seamlessness and the frictionlessness of the game. We don't rely on any third-party wallet or any Web2 aspect, so we can really guarantee that you will have a game that is fully decentralized and that promote true ownership. So earlier this in these sessions we talk about true ownership, right, of the in-game asset, but no one really talked about like how the game producers still have the power to change the rules of the game. So there's no guarantee that the barrier would not increase when certain games would allow you to have like an NFT to enter. That NFT could multiply later. Like there's no guarantee on that. And then when that multiplies, that means that it devalues or decreases the value of your NFT as well, right? You still own the NFT, but the value will get decreased. So there is no guarantee of that. So that's why we want everything to be, fully decentralized and serverless. The storyline is based on the four factions. So there's tech, eco, traditional, and industrial factions. These factions battle for supremacy inside Cryptopia, and you can go for the faction that you will relate in terms of ideologies, and that would then be reflected in your kind of gameplay, like what you would go for in terms of like productions, technologies, and workers' rights, or these kind of things. That you can consider those things when you want to create a new world, reset the society, go into Cryptopia, choose a faction, choose the factions that you would like to join when if you were to enter into the new world, how you want to see the society, and then start with the gameplays. There's two major gameplays inside Cryptopia. One is Tycoon. The other one is Adventure. So the Tycoon gameplay is when you need to acquire assets inside the game and ultimately build your own DeFi empire. So you can actually have your own decentralized exchange or swap center and handle the transactions inside the game and outside the game. And then basically, they're just have your own empire. But obviously that might not be like an ideal way to start the game for certain players, especially when everyone is talking about play to earn right now, right? Like that's why we think that we should have an option for players to start the game for free and then earn for free as well. So we call this model free to play and earn. You can start the game by being adventurer. You don't need to have any funds, nothing. You just need to have your time and then put it into Cryptopia, go on quests, go on a task, get level up, get hired, use that earnings, and then acquire resources, reinvest inside Cryptopia, build your own DeFi empire just by putting your time into the game. And I think this is also a very interesting model because, I think when we look into like the Web3 games, like there's a lot of involvements and trends in the past couple of years, like throughout the bear markets. I feel like it changes every week. And to make it sustainable, they're just really simple things, really. You need to focus on the players instead of forcing your idea on them. Look at what they want, right? The secret recipe for a game to succeed was not really a secret. It's to make a game that is fun to play, that people can really enjoy playing. And that's why we have so many gameplays and mechanic for people to enjoy. Like it's not just one thing, it's an open world. You can be whoever you want to be. You can have careers, you can have businesses, you can establish your own business and have other players buy your shares. You can even get married inside Cryptopia and have it recorded on blockchain. You can be pirates. There's also karma points related. So everything that happens, it happens on the blockchain. So there's a lot of things that will get recorded, just like in real life where, if you do something, it's permanent, right? Like whether or not people know or not, but it actually happened. That's real life inside Cryptopia as well. Everything will be recorded on blockchain. So that means that you've got to be careful what you do. And then when you hit certain level of karma points, then you'll become a pirate and then you'll be ousted from your faction. So that there are consequences in that regard as well. I like that everything is based on blockchain because it's, obviously transparency and, more decentralized, right? And sorry, what I was going to say was they're just because there's just so many possibilities and all those kind of things, it kind of allow players or it kind of help player um, get so engaged and get hooked inside the game without feeling bored because they've done with the things that they're supposed to achieve. Like it can go on forever, and they can have that goal to really really reshape the society how they see fit, right? And I think that's a luxury of this game for players. There are just so many things for them to do, and to have businesses or to have careers inside the game, and seeing how things kind of affect each other as well, like in terms of like pollution, the CO2 output, or the population scores and all this kind of things. um, Back to the gameplays as well, that also reflect the real world scenario, because we do need two type of players in the game, right? Like in the real world, like I have money, I have resources, and I want to build a business. I would need to hire someone, right? And when I hire that person, I need to look into like their education, their work experience, right? And those people are basically adventure game, like adventurers, or the people that would play um, free to play and earn modal. And these people at the same time, if they have experiences or like went through um, really prestigious school, for example, in real life, you would look for a company to work for that pays well, very well established, have reputations and all this kind of things, right? So that's a real world, you know, um, interactions or expectations, and that are the two types of players in Cryptopia, the tycoon and the adventurers. And we need each other, they need each other to play. Those are one of the ways that help us promote sustainable game play and game economy.
Right, and again, very thorough, and I think that the idea looks very promising itself. I'm really looking forward to actually seeing it come about. So yeah, very interesting. Really like the faction idea. Actually, I think that's pretty interesting. So unfortunately, we're running out of time. I think we just have one more last question to go, which is. Any strategies or tips that you have for other newcomers who are interested in getting into Web3 gaming, but feel overwhelmed or unsure? Um, like, what are some of the things that you might suggest for those individuals?
Sorry, what do you mean?
Any
Tips
strategies
for
or
people that
tips, like
people
people
that
who,
want to join Web3 games?
yeah,
Well, there's really no concrete tips. I think like my go-to motto would be like the time is now, right? Like I feel like Web3, we're still very, very early in this space. Like obviously like the creators, the builders themselves, like there's still a lot of room of improvement. And to get on board right now is the best time, because there's still a lot of development that you can really participate in, like whether in being part of the community or like testing the game. There's a lot of options. But if you wait like 6 months from now, the market will be very, very different. Like, I mean, we see what happened last year with a lot of incidents in crypto space, right? Things were like just like this, like over a week. So we don't like, no one knows what's going to happen in 6 months. I think we can agree on that. So I think my go-to tip would be the time is now. Like, whether like whatever kind of involvement you want to start playing a game, you want to start reviewing a game, you want to be part of a game, be part of the community, start earning. Like there are just so many options, and people are so welcoming. Everyone is willing to help you get started. And I think it's really up to you with when you want to start. And but for me, the time is now.
great. That is wonderful. So Thank you so much for actually joining us and having this wonderful discussion. We could have had an entire day's discussion based on how interesting these topics actually are. Thank you again so much. Would love to collaborate in the future as well. So, thank you so much for taking out the time and having a chat with us. That is it for our episode. I'm Jawad, this is Picha, and we're signing off. Goodbye.